Good morning, children. Today we will begin with chapter 1 Mr. Toad's Adventure. What is toad? A toad and frog are similar, little bit differences there. In this chapter, we will read how the adventure of Toad lands him in the disaster. This is not a story but an extract of the novel from the Wind in the Willows, written by Miss Kenneth Graham in 1908. This story revolves around the adventures of four characters: Rat, Mole, Badger, and Mr. Toad of Toad Hall. Now, let's see. One bright summer morning, Mr. Toad was walking briskly along the high road. He strode along till he reached a little town. He was exceedingly hungry after his long walk, so he marched into an inn, ordered the best luncheon, and sat down to eat it in the coffee room. Now, one bright summer morning, Mr. Toad was walking briskly. Briskly means what? Very fast on the road. And where he was walking till he reached to the little town. And when he reached the town after a long walk and walking very fast, he felt hungry. Exceedingly hungry means very hungry after his walk. So he marched into an inn. Marched into an inn means he went into the restaurant. Inn means restaurant. Ordered the best luncheon. Luncheon means lunch. He ordered what is the best lunch in that restaurant. He ordered that and sat down to eat in the coffee room. And he sat to having the lunch. He was about halfway through his meal when a familiar sound approaching down the street made him start and fall a trembling all over. And when he was eating and around half meal he finished, and he heard a sound, a familiar sound that was approaching down the street, means coming towards him, and he was trembling. The pop drew nearer and nearer. The sound, the pop means it is a honking of a vehicle. That sound was coming nearer and nearer. The car could be heard turning into the inn yard and coming to a stop. And where the car stopped? In the inn yard, where the hotel was there, in the hotel premises, the car stopped there. The party entered the coffee room, hungry, talkative, and in all praise of the car that had brought them along so well. The party means a group of people entered the coffee room, hungry. They were also hungry, they were continuously talking, and they were praising the car they had brought along with them. They came into that car and they were all praising that how good that car is, how nice it is looking, and so on. Mr. Toad was all ears. All ears means he was listening carefully. He listened eagerly to the conversation for a long time, and what they are talking, what the people are talking who entered into the inn. He was listening continuously. He was listening what they are talking about. But at last he could stand it no longer and slipped out of the room quietly. And he was very eager. They were talking about the car. He was very eager to see that car. And he get up and walked slowly out of the coffee room. As soon as he got outside, he sauntered round quietly to the inn yard. Saunter means to walk in a relaxed manner. He relaxed. Yes, finally I came into the inn yard, and he will able to see the car who the people were talking about. There cannot be any harm. There cannot be any harm because no one was looking. He said to himself in only just looking at it, and he was watching the car. The car stood in the middle of the yard, quite unattended. And means unattended means No one was there near the car. Mr. Toad walked slowly round it, inspecting it, and he was continuously watching what is the new thing in this car, and each and everything he was observing very minutely. I wonder, he said to himself, I wonder if this sort of car starts easily. And he was saying to himself that if the car will start, what will happen? Next moment, Mr. Toad was found seated in the driver's seats, holding the handle of the cars, and he was thinking, and he was not stopped himself to sit into the car and holding the handle of the car. As the familiar sound of the car broke forth, the old passion seized on Mr. Car, Arbrook, on Mr. Toad, and completely mastered him. Means he was very fond of doing the adventurous. Old passion means he was doing something new, so he can't stop himself, and he start driving the car. He pulled the lever and swung the car round the yard and out through the archway, and he pulled the lever and the car started, and it moved through the archway. Archway means out of the restaurant. All sense of right and wrong seemed temporarily suspended for Mr. Toad. Means whether he's doing right or wrong, he don't bother about it. He was simply, he want to ride the car. He sped so fast, not knowing where he was going, and he raised the speed of the car, and he don't know where he was going, but simply he want to drive. He was only conscious that he was Mr. Toad once more. Mr. Toad at his best and highest. Means what he was thinking, now I am the Master King. Now I am, this car is mine. No one is going to stop me. Now, means all of them will have feel terror about Mr. Toad. Why? Because he is the king, the traffic queller, the lord of the lone trail. Lord of the lone trail means he was the king of the street, and even the traffic police will not stop him, before whom all must give way or be smitten into nothing less. Smitten means what? Severely affected, means nothing is going to happen. Means he was not aware that what he had done. He had stolen the car and someone will follow him. He was not thinking about it. Means he was just riding, and he was the king of the road. He chanted as he flew. He chanted as he flew means what? He was driving very fast, and the car responded with booming sound. And how when the car taken the speeds, how the sound is going boom. In that same manner, the car responded with a booming sound. He was leaving his hour. Leaving his hour means he's enjoying his time, reckless of what might come to him. Reckless means careless. What is going to happen? He don't know. Why he was it is written like this? Because he has stolen the car of someone. He increased his pace. Pace means speed even more when he heard the police siren, and the sound is coming of that police van. The siren is coming. As soon as he heard that sound, he raised the speed, and again he moved very fast. He was driving very fast. He thought he might escape, but he was caught at the next turn of the road. He thought that now I am the king. I am the king of this road. No one is going to stop me. But he was wrong. Who was behind him? Who was chasing? The police was chasing. And so, and on the next turn of the road, the police caught him. A chubby cop with a handlebar mustache approached him with a stern look on his face. Now, a cop cop. How was the cop? Chubby means fat, plumpy like that, with a handlebar mouse stick. How was the mouse stick? Means the word is describing him. How's it? Mouse stick like a handlebar. Mouse stick means mooch. Approached him with a stern. Stern means in a serious look. He was watching to Mr. Toad's face and demanded, "May I see your license, mister?" And when the police is caught, traffic police, what he will ask to use if you have caught the police, if police caught you, what he will ask? First of all, what he will ask about the license. The same license, retorted Mr. Toad, huffing in the driver's seat. Huffing means sitting, holding the seat. I was just testing how fast this marvel could go, and he replied that I don't know. I was just testing how far this car can go. And excuse me, I don't need any license, and I am the king. I don't need any license. What you are asking for? This way, he was consoling to the policeman. Next moment, Mr. Toad was seen standing in the court of law. He was found guilty of stealing a car, driving dangerously, and checking the police. And now he replied that I don't need license. So the police had taken him to in front of the court, and he was feeling very guilty. That why? Because really he has stolen the car, and for stealing a car, and he was driving dangerously, and he checking the police. Checking means what? He disrespect to the police also. Mr. Clark, will you tell us what is the very stiffest penalty for such kind of offense? Asked the chairman. Now chairman is asking, Mr. Clark, will you tell me which kind of punishment we should give this offense? What the Mr. Toad has done? The clerk scratched his nose with his pen. Some people would consider, he observed, that stealing the motor car was the worst offense, and so it is. He is saying that he had stolen the motor car and it is the worst offense, and he has done that offense. But driving dangerously and checking the police undoubtedly carry the severest penalty. He said that he disrespect the police and he drive dangerously. So this is also a very stiffest penalty that we should give him, the stiffest punishment we should give him. Supposing you were to say 12 months for the theft, which is mild, and for this 12 months is a very mild punishment, and 4 years for the furious driving, plus he drive very dangerously and he disrespect to the police. For this, we should give 4 years punishment for the furious driving, which is lenient, means which is not so big punishment, and 15 years for cheek. Cheek means for disrespecting the police. We should punish him for the 15 years, which are pretty bad sort of cheek. Those figure, if we add it together correctly, tot of means totaling. Clark said that means tot of, if we calculate together, so it is approximate 20 years. An excellent suggestion, said the chairman approvingly. Means chairman was also agreed that what you suggested, Mr. Clark, it is totally right. Prisoners, it's going to be 20 years for you this time. And he gave the punishment to Mr. Toad for 20 years. And mind, if you appear before us again upon any charge, whatever, we shall have to deal with you very seriously. And chairman told him that if you come without any charge again, if you stand in front of us, so we have to deal with you very seriously. Then the brutal minions of the law fell upon the hapless Mr. Toad. Then the policemen fell upon him. They took to the Toad to the jail. They loaded him with chain and dragged him from the courthouse. Mr. Toad shrieked and protested across the marketplace where the spectators attacked him with carrots and popular catchy words. And while taking him to the prison, while taking him to the jail to Mr. Toad, it was taking into the jail through the marketplace. They went across the marketplace where the spectators means where the people were attacking him with carrots and catchy words. He passed under the frowning archway of the grim old castle. He passed guardroom full of grinning soldiers of duty who coughed in a horrid, and all of them watching very angrily that he got the punishment for checking the police and driving furiously. He passed men at arms in casket of steel, darting threatening looks at him, and all of them were threatening to Mr. Toad. He passed the thumbscrew room. At last they reached the door of the grimmest dungeon that lay in the heart of the innermost keep. There at last they passed where an ancient jailer sat fingering a bunch of mighty keys, and they reached to a room where no one entered. It was the innermost of the dungeon, a heart of the dungeon. Dungeon means prison. And a gaoler means jailer. He was sitting with a bunch of mighty kings. Odds, Butskin, said the sergeant of police, taking off him his helmet and whipping his forehead. Wake up and take over from us this vile dude, a criminal of deepest guilt and matchless artfulness and resource. And the sergeant means head of the police. He ordered that take him this vile means very bad toad into the deepest guilt, where a cunning toad take him to him and watch and ward him with all your skill. And how you can watch him, you can watch by your own skill. The jailer nodded grimly means unpleasant way. He nodded yes, laying his withered hand on the shoulder of the miserable Mr. Toad. The rusty key creaked in the lock, and means no one has entered in that room. It was the keys were rusty, and the door was open with a unpleasant sound clanged behind him, and Mr. Toad was a helpless prisoner in the remotest dungeon. Remotest means an underground prison in the innermost of the heart of the prison. And this time Mr. Toad was helpless. He can't do anything. Of the best guarded keeper of the stoutest castle in all the length and breadth of Merry England. He was prisoned in the Merry England. The castle was stoutest means fat, and it was in the remote area. I think you understood what I explained. In this chapter, what we read, sometimes the adventure carried out lenders you the problem. Same thing happened with the Mr. Toad. Hope you understood. Thank you. Bye.